The Washington Nationals have finished another season as a bottom dweller in the National League. However, that doesn't mean there isn't excitement brewing in the nation's capital, with top prospects like Dylan Cruz and James Wood getting substantial stints in the majors, and established studs like Luis Garcia and CJ Abrams filling out the roster. The team has the keys to put together a roster capable of turning the corner in 2025. And that's just what we'll aim to do with this rebuild. I did just that with my rebuilds of the Athletics and the Angels, which are all a part of my Rebuilding October series, where I rebuild a new team every day across the month of October. So be sure to take a look at that playlist after this video. And with that, let's make the Nationals playoff contenders. The youth movement in the nation's capital give the Nationals a good problem. They have so much youthful talent, it creates difficult decisions to make on potential free agents to add. For example, the rotation was one of the poorer units in 2024, especially with the injury to Josiah Gray, which will keep him out of most, if not all, of 2025. However, almost every starter is a former prospect and were good enough to warrant another season to prove themselves. So most of this rebuild will focus more on the team's rather poor offense, specifically at looking to add more power to the unit as well as adding some more bullpen depth. However, before we can look at any of this, we have to address the players leaving the team via free agency, the first of which is a blessing for Nationals fans who have had to watch Patrick Corbin trot out to the mound every 5 days since his massive signing in the 2018 offseason. Since the start of 2019, Corbin has had a 5.11 ERA with a whip of 1.461. It doesn't take a genius to think the Nationals will be more than happy to let the Southpaw walk in free agency after one of the worst signings in recent history. Joey Gallow is another name set to hit free agency, and yet another name Nats fans will be happy to see go. Gallo has been far from the all-star player we saw in 2019 and 2021, and his latest stop in Washington was possibly the worst version of the player we have seen to date. In about 70 games, Gallows has posted his lowest OPS, home run rate, and slugging percentage of his career, and just looks lost at the plate. As if it wasn't obvious enough for Gallo to walk in free agency, consistency needs to be kept within the series, so with Gallo making his way to Colorado in that respective rebuild, it makes him unavailable to be signed to DC. You're welcome, National fans. The lesser known of the three names set to hit free agency might just be the most painful, and it's Trevor Williams who has quietly put together a nice season through his injuries. A low 2 ERA across a handful of starts would be a reason to want to keep anyone. However, it's important to remember how far off Williams' career norms the streak is. This is by far the best version of Williams we have ever seen, and his numbers, like his extremely low home run rate, are simply unsustainable in the long run. Williams is a career mid-4 type ERA pitcher, and at the end of the day, it's not worth keeping that kind of guy around over a prospect who is yet to fully develop into the pitcher he could be. Plus, there would be plenty of replacement level guys for depth that would be available at a cheaper cost. Staying internal, it's also important to consider the internal prospects that could make an impact on the major league roster. The highest rated of the group is Brady House, a third base prospect sat in AAA. House was drafted as a shortstop but was moved to third due to his better fit at the position. His plus power and arm leave the Nationals with an exciting piece to their future. House has progressed well through the minors, with only the 2024 season being the point of struggle. And for that, he won't start the year in the majors. However, it might not take long for the highly touted prospect to make the majors if he starts the year hot. The next prospect is a weird one because he made his debut back in 2022. However, due to a lengthy recovery process from Tommy John, Cade Cavalli has maintained his prospect status. Cavalli made his name as a prospect due to his ridiculous stuff. He has 4 pitches that all project to be plus pitches, and prior to the injury, appeared to be gaining some form of control. However, coming off a Tommy John surgery, nothing is guaranteed, and some form of rust will be needed to shake it off. And finally, there are a collection of positional prospects that will have the potential to make their respective impact on the Major League roster, and first base prospect Yandy Morales, third base prospect Caden Wallace, outfielder Dalen Lyle, and the former final piece of the outfield puzzle, Robert Hassel, has had quite the fall from grace with 2 seasons of struggles in the minor league. That leaves the Nationals with a clear need at corner infielder, DH, room for potential outfielder, and a need in bullpen depth. Jose Tena has proven enough to desire a full season at the hot corner. His batted ball data implies he should be getting better results than he is, and he is already a league average hitter. Defensively, he isn't great, but he is a serviceable player that won't be irreplaceable if House can start the year on fire. The first free agent of the rebuild helps fill out the first base spot, and it's Carlos Santana who provides an average bat with some pop and excellent defense even at his advanced age. Santana would give the Nats a reliable everyday option that could help mentor this younger team. However, he isn't the biggest first base option the Nationals would be signing in this video. The Nationals would also solve their DH and power problem by grabbing Pete Alonso from the divisional rival, the New York Mets. Pete Alonso needs no introduction, but let's go ahead and give him his flowers. Since his historic rookie season, Alonso has yet to post an OPS below 800 and is a bit of an Iron Man playing in 150 plus games in every season. He doesn't play much defense, so that's why the move to DH makes sense, and allowing him to focus on hitting would allow him to go crazy. It's ambitious, but unlike the other teams that I've rebuilt in this series, the Nationals have shown the ability and desire to spend money in the past, and if there's ever a time to invest in this team, it's now. With that in mind, the Nationals will also be grabbing Michael Conforto, who will fill the final outfield spot, with the idea of Dylan Cruz being moved to center, James Wood going to right. Conforto continues to be an above average bat despite missing the entire 2022 season. Across his career, he has posted an 803 OPS with a 120 OPS plus. He averages just under 20 home runs and 60 RBIs and would be a quality, consistent piece to add to this offense. And then to address the bullpen, we'll grab Chris Martin from the Boston Red Sox in free agency. Martin, since his 2 seasons overseas, has quietly put up a low 3 ERA with a FIP set at 2.87. He just simply does the thing where he doesn't walk anybody and strikes out almost 10 batters per 9 innings. He very quietly has done this over across the past 7 seasons and would be a high quality add for the Nats. After that, the Nationals will address the left-handed reliever spot, grabbing Aaron Bummer from the Atlanta Braves. Bummer has had a nice resurgence here with the Braves after an atrocious 2023 with the White Sox. Bummer is a strange case because he does allow a fair share of hits, but he just doesn't give up home runs, and when he can keep his walks in check, he simply becomes very effective, especially when considering the amount of strikeouts the Southpaw gets. All in all, he should be a high quality addition for the bullpen that could use some help. That brings the final roster to Keibert Ruiz, who you need to see take that next step offensively. Carlos Santana at first, Luis Garcia at second, Jose Tena at third, with CJ Abrams at short if he can stay out of the casino. Conforto in left, Cruz in center, and Wooden right with Alonso at DH. Drew Malas would be the backup catcher with a sneaky candidacy to take Ruiz's job. Jacob Young as an important defensive replacement in the outfield, with Juan Yepez and Nazim Nunez filling out the final 2 spots for positional players. The starting pitching would include Mackenzie Gore, Cade Cavalli, Mitchell Parker, Jake Irvin, and DJ Hurds. Would this team actually be capable of turning the corner? Maybe. A lot would rely on the development of the starting pitching. There's a lot of question marks and would fully rely on the development of some of the guys in that rotation. There were 2 main issues that the Nationals needed to address in the offseason, and this rebuild would at least give the Nationals the attempt to do just that. This is a year that should bring the Nationals closer to contention once again. The amount of raw talent on this roster would get them close, and the development on the team would be what does or does not drag them into the playoffs.